Her face on the video call went pale when she realized I was the vice president who had just canceled her interview, the same person she once slandered to keep me from moving up. For a heartbeat, she looked like a child who had been caught stealing cookies, and that single frozen image tasted sweeter to me than any pay raise ever could. Actually, let me rewind and explain how I got to this point. My name is Erin Caldwell. I am 38 years old, and I live in a small brick house on the east side of Austin, Texas. I have always loved three things more than anything else: my daughter Sophie, a hot brisket sandwich from the food trucks on 6th Street, and the feeling of finishing a huge project at work and knowing it was done right. I grew up the eldest of four, which meant I learned early to fight for my place at the table, but I also learned how to keep a calm smile on my face while doing it. That smile became my armor when I stepped into the stormy world of big company politics. 5 years ago, I worked for a huge technology firm that sat on the edge of downtown like a polished glass fortress. I was a senior analyst then, which meant long hours, cold coffee, and numbers spinning in my head even when I tried to sleep. Still, I was good at it, so good that my own manager, Helen Cruz, told me I was being put forward for a promotion to team leader. I felt like someone had opened a door to a better future. The new role would come with better pay, more freedom, and most of all a chance to guide younger workers the way mentors had guided me. The company had an odd way of deciding promotions. Once a quarter, a circle of middle managers from all the different departments met in one big room with the head of the division. Each manager could cheer for their own candidates or object to other candidates. They called it a peer review process, but it was really a polite knife fight. The day of the meeting, I wore my lucky turquoise earrings, the ones my mother gave me when I landed my first job, and I waited by the phone for good news. Instead, I got a short message from Helen saying, "Sorry, Erin, the committee blocked it. We will try again." I stared at that message until the words smeared from my tears. Later that night, two friends who were managers in other departments took me out for tacos and spilled the truth. During the meeting, a woman named Valerie Dent, a manager from the supply analytics group, had stood up and fought hard against my promotion. She claimed my numbers were sloppy, that I delivered reports late, and that team morale dropped when I was around. All lies. Worse, she had never even worked with me. She had spoken with the calm voice of someone reading facts from a page, and the room believed her. My friends told me Valerie had done it because Helen, my own manager, had just argued against one of Valerie's candidates earlier in the meeting. Valerie wanted payback, and she chose me as the target. My friends said the division head quickly moved on, and that was that. One false speech and my dream was iced. At first, I tried to shrug it off. I told myself the people who mattered knew my worth, that another chance would come. But late at night, while Sophie slept, I would sit on the back porch, hear the cicadas sing, and feel the hot knot of anger growing. I kept thinking about the way Valerie had tossed out my name like trash to score a point in some power contest. I decided I would not stay in a place where rumor beat truth. So I polished my resume, practiced answers in the mirror while brushing my teeth, and after a month I landed an offer from a small but rising software company on the north side of town. They were scrappy, hungry, and willing to trust me. I took the job, took a small pay cut, and never looked back. My new company, Brightlayer Solutions, had fewer than 200 workers, which meant I could walk across the hall and speak directly to the chief executive officer if I needed to. My first week, I learned everyone's name. My third month, I earned the role of Director of Data Strategy. By the end of the first year, I was sitting on the leadership team, drinking terrible office coffee at 6 in the morning and loving every second. I also earned a thick package of stock options, which at the time felt like colorful play money sitting somewhere far away. Act 2 started the day Brightlayer decided to hire a head of supply analytics. We posted the opening, and the resumes came flooding in. One night, the head of human resources, a warm man named Daniel Brooks, called me. "Erin," he said, "you worked at Syntech Global during the same years as a woman named Valerie Dent. She applied for the new position. Do you know her?" My heart felt like it had jumped onto a trampoline. I walked to my kitchen window, stared out at the moonlit street, and heard the buzz of that long-ago meeting echo in my ears. I told Daniel, yes, I know her work. He asked if I could give him my opinion because the hiring team valued real feedback. I took a breath. Part of me wanted to swing the hammer right then, but another part whispered that revenge served too fast can taste bitter. I asked Daniel if I could look over her resume and think about it overnight. He agreed. I spent the next 2 hours at my dining table reading Valerie's glowing resume. She had climbed to senior manager, managed budgets, spoken at conferences. It painted a picture of a perfect leader, yet every line reminded me how she had once derailed my path with lies. I kept seeing myself on the porch all those nights, anger buzzing in my chest, while Sophie slept inside. It was time to lock the past in place. The next morning, I walked into human resources. I wore the same turquoise earrings, not for luck this time, but as armor. I told Daniel and the hiring panel the full story. I spoke slowly, clearly, and after each point I offered proof. Copies of the reports Valerie had attacked, testimonials from coworkers, even time-stamped files that showed my work was always early, never late. I explained how Valerie had never managed me, never even sat in the same project meeting, yet had stood in that big room and painted a false picture. I ended with one sentence: if you want a leader who values truth and teamwork, keep looking, because she is not it. The room was silent for a moment. Then Daniel thanked me and said they would discuss next steps. 2 days later, the hiring team sent Valerie a polite electronic mail stating they had decided to promote an internal candidate. They wished her luck. No one outside the company knew I had spoken against her. The tiny flame of revenge warmed me, but I told myself not to gloat. Life is a long road. 3 years rolled by like tumbleweeds across a summer field. Brightlayer grew fast, our software caught the eye of giants, and rumors of an acquisition spread through the halls. While all that happened, I focused on my team, my daughter, and my nightly runs along Lady Bird Lake. Then one bright April morning, the rumors became truth. A large international corporation announced it was buying Brightlayer for a price that made headlines. The value of my stock options leaped so high I had to sit down and breathe into my hands. I was going to be able to pay for Sophie's college, fix up my mother's house, and take my brother with cerebral palsy on that dream trip to the coast. On the afternoon the deal became public, Daniel sent me a single-line message. "Looks like your call saved us from sharing this pile of gold with the wrong person." I leaned back, closed my eyes, and felt the deep, cool satisfaction spread through every bone. That would have been enough, but fate enjoys timing. 2 weeks later, I received a notification for a scheduled video call with the integration committee of the acquiring corporation. I logged on to see which partners would join. A few faces popped up, then another square opened, and there she was, Valerie. Now several years older, a new line across her forehead, but still with that confident tilt of the chin. My stomach fluttered, but I kept my expression calm. The meeting host asked each person to state their name and role. Valerie said, "I am an independent consultant brought on to advise on supply analytics." My turn came, and I said, "I am Erin Caldwell, Vice President of Data Strategy for Brightlayer Solutions." Valerie's confident smile cracked, just a hair, but I saw it. During the call, we discussed timelines and data migration. At the end, the host asked if anyone had conflicts of interest. Valerie's lips moved, maybe searching for words, but she stayed silent. I said, "I have no conflict with anyone on this call." That was true. I no longer felt conflict. I felt victory. Act 3 began when the acquiring corporation announced it would be filling 2 permanent vice president roles. One was supply analytics. Rumor said Valerie was in the running. My new chief executive asked my opinion. I asked for a closed-door talk. I shared the full history again, this time with links, files, and sworn statements from my old friends who had been in that meeting years ago. I ended by saying, "You just spent hundreds of millions of dollars to buy a culture built on honesty. Do not poison it on day one." The chief executive thanked me. A week later, Valerie's contract as a consultant quietly ended. Another week later, a different candidate accepted the role. I never heard Valerie's name again. The acquisition closed, the stock money landed in my account, and life settled into a new rhythm. Some nights I sit on my porch, the same porch where I once tasted anger. I listen to the cicadas, sip sweet tea, and think about the twisty path that led me here. I know revenge can scorch the earth if you let it, but sometimes it is simply setting the record straight and letting time do the heavy lifting. My world is brighter now. Sophie plays soccer with confidence because she sees her mom stand up for herself. My team trusts me because they know I will defend them against lies. And somewhere out there, maybe in a small apartment or a borrowed office, Valerie must wonder how one careless speech cost her the payday of a lifetime. That final thought is not hate. It is a lesson written in bold letters. In the tight weave of any industry, every thread you pull can snap back. I brush a strand of hair from my face, feel the warm Texas night, and smile the same calm smile that once kept me afloat in a sea of politics. Only this time, the smile is pure peace.